You've been involved in women's education and development programmes throughout your long career. How has women's community-based education changed over that time, if it has changed?
I would say change. I don't know if change is we're more demand. That's a change. Uh, you know, there's a change that we didn't see very much of the peace dividend come into the areas of the organisations that worked through the conflict. We probably were getting more money prior to the Good Friday Agreement, which wasn't an awful lot at that time, but then we didn't have the same amount of women. But over the years, women coming, when the husbands got out and their partners got out of prison, women actually were coming and wanting to get educated, wanting to have a better job, wanting to be able to bring into the family their wages. The courses that we put on now in comparison to the courses that were put on years ago, like we're doing GCSE, English GCSE, Maths, we're doing, because we have a lot of people who our education system let down, and we have people coming in for basic English and basic Maths, and then they move on into the GCSE level. There's counselling courses, there's umpteen, when you look at the across the women's sector, and look and see the different things that are happening in different women's centres, there's therapies, there's counselling, there's, we meet the needs of the communities and the people that come in, and that's one of the ethos that it's not us that put the programme in, it's what we're being asked for to put on because there's demand. We've done sign language classes as well, we've done Spanish classes as well, so it's every year it may change, but we're inundated. Shankill Women's Centre in particular moves from a one room, 2 rooms. Now we're in a building with 3-4 rooms, and now we're getting a new build that's being built on just off the interface at Lanark Way. So if the demand wasn't there, why would they build us, or why were we able to secure a brand new building? And it's because we have the demand. Big difference now is our childcare. We're not getting proper childcare funding. We're not getting funding. We have a brand new building, but we need workers to go and work in those buildings, so that we can actually encourage women from the communities to go and get educated. I done my figures last year, many women I worked with who had went through different programs that I had put on, and my programs are slightly different than the education program, although it's education, because mine's good relations, peace building, and my figures was 500 women I worked with, me alone. That's not counting the education department in Shankill Women's Centre. That's not counting our young women's project in Shankill Women's Centre, and that's not actually counting our health and wellbeing project. So, there's 30 members of staff now, where before there was maybe 6 members of staff. So the change is the demand from the communities, and in particular from women. And because that demand's there, our funding is being cut. A lot of the women's centres are really going with cap in hand, even now, because part of it is because Stormont's not up and running. Not that I think that would make a big difference anyway as far as the money's concerned, but I personally believe that we need to be looking at, I have a lot of time for our tourism industry. I think we need our tourism industry, but if the community workers and the women at grassroots level weren't doing what they were doing, there wouldn't be a tourism trade here, because we're doing the good relations, the peace building, the education, the health and well-being, and looking after our young women, our single parents and things like that. And if we weren't doing all that, we would have conflict. We would have been rioting on the ground. And who wants to come to visit Belfast when there's riots? Nobody. And the same with industry. Industry is able to set up businesses here because it's peace, and we have peace. But it's been the people at grassroots level who has maintained that peace, whether it's through education, whether it's through the programs that we put in place. Businesses, again, are here and they're all being invested in. Our tourism's being invested in, our business, and even more so now because of the single market that we're able to access through the European Union. So businesses is going to be very wealthy, and big investment going into those areas, which is needed. So I want investment in the women's movement, not funding, investment. Invest in us, because if you invest in us, these businesses is going to have employees that will be able to do the